Good morning, everyone. Good frosty morning. It's pretty cool out here today. Got a very special treat for you guys today. As y'all know, I've done a lot of stories right here. This is Preacher Anse Anderson Hatfield's cabin, known as the hog trial cabin. And this is where the hog trial occurred. This is where the stabbing of Ellison Hatfield occurred. This was the election. This is where the election was held, where the fight had happened. And the stabbing that killed Ellison and kicked the feud into high gear. Now, I've brought you guys here several times telling you stories, about the feud, but we've never been inside. The cabin has been shut down for years. Back when we used to do tours, there was a lady named Patty that Heather and I both know, that she came over and she would, kind of hang out here, and she'd have little, music playing and little stories and things like that, and tell you about the feud and that kind of thing. But she quit years ago, and the cabin's been locked up ever since. We contacted Tony Tackett with the Pike County Tourism Board, and he put us in touch with a man named Bob Scott. Now, Bob Scott owns Randall McCoy's old home place. If I'm not mistaken, I think Bob owns the land now. But anyhow, he lives directly in front, of Randall's old house, and owns the land. He owns the property. And he's in with, he more or less, he's in with the county, that kind of thing, and with tourism, and, kind of helps promote things, that sort of thing. And they're doing something special today. I called him, and as luck would have it, they are coming over today and there's a busload of children. They're coming down, it's sort of a historical thing, for kids. So they are going to come down and show them the old cabin, and they're going to open it up. So this will be the first time in years that this has been open to the public. And, well, it's not technically open to the public. It's, it's open for a bunch of, for the school kids coming down. But we're going to be opening the cabin here in just a little while. I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. Y'all know me. On time is late. 20 minutes early is on time. So I'm a little bit early. I can't help it. It's a habit. But anyway, I just figured I'd come out real quick and show you guys around just a little bit. We are here, guys, and Bob is here. So without further ado, we're just going to jump in.
This is my grandmother here, Polly Scott. She married Jules Scott. And of course, Anderson Polly's here.
Right. Yeah, we've done videos on them as well.
A lot of history here.
Yes.
It often amazes me out front. There's two footsteps. I'm sure you've seen them before.
Yeah, the footprints.
Yes.
Yes, those are extremely cool.
Every time I come over here, I often wonder, could that have been my great-grandmother's footprints?
Yeah. It's amazing. It sure is. It's amazing. In case you guys can't see them, get a little closer. There's a little set right here and a little set right here. How cool is that?
Those are the original steps.
That is awesome.
You go ahead, and I'll sit down here and you do your thing, and I'm going to wait on these.
The school bus?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, guys, here we go. Here we go. That's their old natural gas heater. Okay, I'm kidding. It's actually their old propane heater. Okay, they didn't really have either one of those. The cabin, there was fireplaces on either end. I'll quit goofing off now. You can see there's a fireplace on this end and one on that end as well. And that was very common. You know, that's, you know, how you heat your house. And when you built these back in the day, if you'll notice, there's no ceiling. I don't know, the light's not the greatest in here, but I'll try to do my best. Let's see. Now, he mentioned the lighting wasn't that great, but I guess that's how it was back in the day, wasn't it? And, you know, just curtains made from something that you had, right? Some old, really old furniture. Look at that. It's an old flip-top desk. Look at that. Beautiful. And over here, the old record player. Look at that. You wind this bad boy up and put the needle over onto the record. They're down in here. I remember this stuff. Like I said, I used to do tours over here. In the bottom of this, there are these old slate records. Look at that. Look how thick those puppies are. Edison record. This is Song of the Wanderer. You put that back. Very gently put that back. You got to be really careful with old antiques like that, don't you? But check that out. That is a beautiful old piece of furniture, isn't it? Beautiful old piece of furniture. Check this out. Oh, this is part of an old oxen shoe that was found here on the property by metal detectors in 2018. I remember when that happened. They were putting in water line, and there's a little sink for Patty. They put a little sink right back there in the corner and ran a water line to it, and that was when they ran up into the old oxen shoe. But you can see different utensils, cookware, ash bucket. That's the teapot I was telling you about right there. The preacher Anse and Polly over the mantle. Old cane. Oh, very important. Almost missed something. You guys have heard of the hog trial, right? Where preacher Anse served in the hog trial, correct? I know y'all have heard this. We've got a story about it. What you're looking at, guys. Let me get this over in the light. This is reputed to be the actual gavel from the hog trial. Now imagine that. From the way I heard it, they were contacted by a lady, and she said, "Hey, we've got something that belongs to you guys." What's that? The gavel from the hog trial. And they brought it up here, and it hangs on the wall now. That's the actual gavel from the hog trial that occurred here. But if y'all ready, we'll go upstairs here just in a second. Got some old stuff here, mason jars. I believe I gave them the mason jars. I believe I brought them over. I know we brought a big one and several. Yeah, we did. I've still got, I put labels in them so you could tell what year they were made, and you can still see the label. This is one of the ones we brought over. Old jars for flour and sugar, cornmeal. Old lanterns. Of course, they're electric now. But anyway, if you guys are ready, we'll head upstairs. And I did mention, you see how the floorboards are? You can see the cracks. I don't know how well you guys can see the cracks in the floorboard to see the daylight upstairs. But that was very common when they built houses back in the day. You didn't put the ceiling here. You left the floor and left gaps deliberately so that the heat could go upstairs. And you can see little gaps right there. You see the light shining through them. But that's what that was for. It was so you could heat the upstairs. But I love this old rough lumber. I always thought it just looks really cool. And this is the upstairs. Now, of course, the upstairs in, old houses like this, upstairs was the bedroom. So this was where everybody went at night to go sleep. Check out this old bed. It's called a rope bed. And you see these, I've seen these before. I've seen these made out of trees before. And you just take, this one here this is a fancy one. Has the little pins that the ropes go around. And you just take the ropes and lace it together to make a bed. That's cool, isn't it? But I've seen these made out of old tree logs and all kinds of stuff. The old foot locker. Look at that. Open him very gently. Okay, we ain't gonna open him at all. We just stop right there. One of the hinges is broken, so we don't wanna, do any harm. So we'll leave him alone. Looks like some birds been getting in somewhere, don't it? I don't see where. I don't see no openings. Hi guys, how y'all doing? How's everybody? See, it's me, for real. Look at this. Look at this old radio. That is wild looking, isn't it? Now, I'm not exactly sure how much of this stuff actually belonged, suspenders. I'm not sure exactly how much of this stuff actually belonged to Preacher Anse and Polly, but I would imagine some of it did. And you can see where the History Channel, the movie Hatfield and McCoys, it's a big poster. Old shoes. Okay, now I'm seriously concerned here. Rocking toilet? Okay, not really. But it certainly does look like a potty chair of some kind, doesn't it? With that inlaid in there. Old kerosene lamps. Now they would have used something like that for light. And there's old lamps. Mom showed me how to make them using animal fat, like grease, bacon grease or whatever, and a piece of cloth and a saucer and a bowl. And you can make a lantern out of it. Mom showed me how to do it. You take the saucer, take a flat saucer, put the grease in there melted, take your cloth, like so, lay it over the edge, and then put the bowl over top of it and just have the edge of the wick sticking out and just simply light it. And the bowl over top of it keeps the wick from catching underneath it. It can't get any air. And yeah, it makes a lantern. You can make a lantern from a handful of, a little bit of grease, cooking oil left over, a saucer, a bowl, and an old piece of cloth. And you can make a lantern out of it. Mom showed me how to do it. I'll show y'all one of these days. Someday I'll show you how to do that. Let's see. Looks old, doesn't it? Maybe not, but it sure looks it. And the curtains, like I said, I mentioned that. A lot of times they make curtains out of just about any old thing. And you can see that how they're nailed up. And the old square nails. Y'all seen those, right? They're not round, they're flat. You see those? When those were commonly used, those flat nails, you've heard of 8-penny nails, that's where that comes from. That nationwide, now not just here, you could actually use nails like money. And you could go into stores and buy things with nails. That is wild, isn't it? That is totally wild. I mean, imagine that. You go to move from your old house to the new house, right? You grab all of your stuff, you take all of your stuff, and you move all of your furniture. Then when you get all of your furniture moved, you come back and you burn your house to the ground to get all the nails back out of it. That's how it was done. That is exactly how it was done. You see, the wood was considered worthless because, you know, you go out here and cut a tree, right? You can, the sawmill, you go cut you a tree, right? Make you a log house. The wood was considered worthless because it was free. Nails weren't free. You had to pay for nails. But how cool is this? Look at them big old rafters up in there. Amazing. They don't build them like this anymore, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Look at the size of them things. That's about a 4 by 8. That is insanely cool. Old rough lumber. I love the look of it. And you see the old pins? You see how those pins are? What you do instead of nails, right? You drill holes and then drive like big dowel pins, more or less. It's like a 3/4 inch dowel pin. And you would drive those in there and then just cut the end of it off and make it look nice and flush. That is cool, isn't it? Pins, little wooden nails, guys. Wooden nails. Think of them like that. Except they're just really big. They're like 3/4 inch wooden nails. At the logs. Look at the logs. Now, when you built these old cabins like this, what you did, you built a square. You built the shell, right? And you put the logs up on the wall. You put your ceiling up, and you stopped. You did not, these people did not build, well, on rare occasions perhaps, but not typically. You did not build interior walls, all right? For one simple reason. Look at this one log. Just that one log on the top row. See, it starts down on the corner, runs all the way up to the other end of the house, correct? Now, look right here. See all these little marks? That's a tool called an adze. It looks kind of like a little garden hoe. It's short. They're not very big. They're maybe 18, 20 inches, somewhere in that ballpark, something like that. What you do is you take that great big old tree and you carve that bad boy down until you make it look like that. Now you can imagine how much work it took to do this one log. Just this one. Okay? See all the marks? Just imagine how much work it took to do that one log. Now multiply that times all of this, right? That's why you didn't waste wood. When you wanted privacy, you hung a sheet or something, you know? And I know it must have been like crazy, weird, back in the day, because they didn't do interior walls, so privacy wasn't really a thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, imagine you see mommy and daddy kissing nowadays, you get embarrassed. Imagine you're laying there at night and you can hear them going at it. Talk about some issues. You have some issues when you grow up, yeah. I heard mommy and daddy going at it like bunny rabbits. Sorry, I have a tendency to get a little bit goofy from time to time. I'll try to curtail that the best I can, but no promises. But just the little wood, the old rough lumber, man, I really love that. That is beautiful. You can see the saw marks in all of the wood. I just love it. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh yeah, before I forget, the old shakes on the roof, you can actually see that they actually did real old school roofing shakes on this thing. And remember the gaps? You can see the gaps in the floorboards right there. And you can actually look, see through some of them, you can actually see downstairs through some of the gaps. But that's the way you built them, you know. You wanted the heat up here too. but you want to generally contain most of it downstairs. That's why you only had cracks, you know, instead of large gaping holes. Of course, I'm sure, you know, right here a lot of heat's going to come up your stairway as well. But how cool is that, you know? How cool is this? Look at this place. No insulation, you know, uninsulated. Of course, this right here is super thick. You know, you're good as far as walls go. This right here is where you lost all of your heat radiating out through your roof. But man, that is awesome. I've been wanting to bring you guys here for a couple years now since, you know, well, when we used to do tours, I used to bring trail riders here all the time. But since Patty left and they haven't gotten someone else to fill in, the place has just been closed for several years. And we just happened to have really good timing, I guess. Then when we caught, oh, look at that, that's a cradle. Look at that, that is beautiful. It's a little cradle, a rocking cradle. That is awesome. I've never seen something like that before. Huh. That is absolutely beautiful. I don't know how well y'all can see that. It's a rocking cradle. It goes up through there. You can see the mattress. Yellow mattress in it, and it's got rockers, like a rocking chair underneath it. But the old stone is original. The cabin has been rebuilt, but they kept as much of it original as, you know, as possible. The stonework, the metal, the foundations. You know, anything that they found, you know, on site. So as much of it, you know, as could be reused was. And that old copper tea kettle, look at that. What do we got here? Bowls and things. Look at that. Little wooden bowls. Oh, that's a big old jar. Look at that one. Delicate. Probably some kind of perfume or something, maybe. Who knows? What's that one? That one has a label. It is something creamery. Homestead Creamery. Is there a date? I'm thinking this is pretty new, colored. They didn't really do pretty text back then, and they didn't really put it on glass either. You just kind of was expected to know what's in the jar. When you went to the store, see, they didn't, when you went to the store to buy, you know, whatever, you didn't just go in the store and roam around, okay? Back in the day, you went to the store and you gave your list to the clerk. I need this much flour, this much sugar, this much coffee, so on, so on, so on. And you waited while he went and gathered up all of the things that you needed. Look at that. Look at that. That is handmade. It's got little pins. This right here is the stand, and it has a wooden pin, wooden dowel that goes through. And then the baby's crib just kind of hangs on the pins. That is cool. Look at that. That is amazing. The handwork. And the sink. That's the sink. Like I said, this was just done a couple years ago when Patty was here to have, you know, have water available. An old, look at that. I haven't seen one of these in a while. That is an old dipper, guys, from your well. And what you do is you keep this out by your well, and when you draw up water, it's really good. There's just something about well water through an old dipper like that. There's just something really cool about it. Not really sure how it works, but it does. It just tastes better. What is that? Flat file. It's a whetstone for sharpening knives. It's got a whetstone, 4 of them. There's a different consistency on each side, like a leather. Now you'll strap a knife down. That's cool. Whetstone on one side, leather on the other, to hone your knives. A handmade drawing of the cabin. Sure is beautiful though, isn't it? They just don't make them like this anymore, guys. They don't build them this way anymore. I saw this thing on TV, these old dove-style cabins. They were saying that it is almost impossible to knock one of these down. Like, you know, to take it apart, you have to disassemble it the way you put it together. Like the pieces, because it's so heavy and so dense and so thick. I mean, look at the logs. Look how thick that is. And the precision to cut those. Alright, I'm going to get off here for a minute. We've still yet got a whole lot to see and do. Actually, before I do that, we'll take a walk around real quick. Just to kind of give you a layout. That's the back of it, the front. We'll get there. We'll get around there. Look at them old shakes. Those are pretty, ain't they? I don't know if how well they last, but they sure look pretty. There's the fireplace. Preacher Anse Hatfield's propane cylinder. That was a joke now. Before anybody makes a video, Leo thinks Preacher Anse had a propane stove. It was a joke. That is cool. Look at that. Just look at that old building. That is beautiful. They really don't make them like this anymore, do they? And these here, the foundation stones, you see a lot of these on these old cabins here, these old style cabins. They would just take a rock, you know, the correct shape and size and thickness, and partially bury the thing and just build right off of that. And you see a lot of these old places, you know, old cabins and stuff, have this exact same setup where they've got the rock underneath it. Since we're here, and like I said, this is the hog trial cabin. And I've showed you guys this before and told you the story about, you know, the stolen pig and, you know, and Floyd and all that kind of stuff. But there's the sign. That is insanely crazy cool. Look how beautiful though, guys. Just look at that. Is that not gorgeous? Giant pine tree right in the front yard. Okay, right now I'm just kind of hanging out. The van right there just rolled up with a bunch of high schoolers. And Bob is taking them through the cabin, showing them around, that kind of thing, telling them this and that. I would take you guys in there and show you too, but you can't film kids. So, you know, it's a YouTube thing. You know, you're not supposed to film, you know, children without consent. So we'll leave that one alone. We're not really here for that anyway. But I thought it was just cool to mention, cool to note, that I think it's cool that kids are being brought down here to actually learn real history from someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And I just thought that was really cool. I think that's noteworthy. But anyway, he was telling me about an old church right over here that we're going to have to look into. Supposedly, when Ellison was stabbed, was the Enon Church right over here. I'll get a video of it later, get a picture for you. But supposedly, when Ellison was stabbed here, he says, Bob says that Preacher Anse was preaching right over here at this old church. And supposedly, when Ellison was stabbed, he was taken over to that church for, you know, that first night before he was taken back over to West Virginia. Of course, now, you know, it's all, you know, that's hearsay, you know, it's family says, you know, that kind of thing. But to me, you know, you can't really, my mom told me something happened. You can bring that up, you can mention that, but unless it's, you know, proven, unless it's something you can show, a documented trail, you know, that's the only thing about it. You know, it's a really cool story, and it's possible, and it's actually, you know, probably likely that that's true. I mean, you know, he lived here, and if he's preaching right over there, you know, that's going to be a place they're really familiar with, you know. And but it's one of those things. It's like with me, for instance. You would think, see, I've heard all these stories and stuff since I was a little bitty kid, and you would think that that would be a big plus, it would be a big help, and in some cases it is. Sometimes it helps, but sometimes it actually hurts, because a lot of it, you know, you'll be doing a story about so-and-so, and you'll throw in something that you were told by family that you don't have proof for. But luckily for me, Heather helps keep me grounded, and she kind of goes back through stuff and investigates, and, you know, old family tales and things like that, and something comes up that we don't have evidence for, you know, we try to make a point to mention, you know, that's legend, that's hearsay, that's, you know what I mean. And like I said, so, you know, you would think it would be a big plus for me, but it's actually, it can be a deterrent, because you have to be careful what you say. You know, well, Mom told me that so-and-so said right after that happened that he said, but, you know, you can't really go by that because you don't really have proof. So, you know, but that's the whole point, right? That's why we're out here. Stuff like that is exactly what we try to find proof for, you know? And now this, hang on, let the car pass, sorry. This right here is the Enon Old Regular Baptist Church, right there. And as you can see, this just sits a little, what, 50 yards, 75 yards, something like that, from the cabin where Preacher Anse lived. This right here is the Enon Church, like I said. And if Bob is right, you know, if the old family stories are correct, then history books have to be rewritten because there's a page missing. And if it's true that Ellison was brought up here and more or less spent that first night in this old church, of course, you know, the siding is new, of course. But yeah, we'll take a walk around real quick. He was telling me that it still has the old pews and stuff. Are still inside the old church. A little creek running by it. Back door. I was gonna go around, but it's bad that way, so I'll go around the front and come up the other side. But I did notice on the front it had 1830 on the sign, so yeah, that would put it within the right time frame for sure. But right here, look at this. Church of Jesus Christ of Regular Baptist called Enon, established 1830. That would most certainly put it within the proper time frame. Let's see if we can see inside. It's a pretty old church, isn't it? 1830. And you can see the old pews still in there. That is wild looking. This would have been where Preacher Anse brought the fire and brimstone, guys. Right here. That is wild. And to look at it, I mean, it's obviously an old building, but it certainly don't look no 1830, does it? Of course, I guess that's what modern updates do, isn't it? What new siding does, makes an old house look new. And look at this. You can see their old coal pile was right here. Cute. A piece of coal from their old coal pile. Just still laying here. That is cool. That is insanely cool. Man, the rock right there, it looks like it could very well be something from the old building. That is amazing, guys. New little tidbits of history. I like that. You know, of course, this one can't be proven, but the speculation is really cool, isn't it? I mean, this would most certainly rewrite history. If we can find something, some article, some newspaper thing, some, who knows, a death certificate, an obituary, anything. You never know until you start looking. You know, what you're going to find, you don't know until you look, right? And it works that way in this stuff too. So we're going to do a little bit of digging into the old Enon Church, and we're going to see what we can find out. You never know. But I mean, just picture this. Hang on, let me get back here. Now just kind of picture this place. Now none of these houses would have been here, okay? None of it. You would have had Preacher Anse's old house right there where the cabin is, and that's it. You know, the house there, these two, and this stuff is, you know, obviously this is much newer than what we're talking. You know, we're talking 1830 on this church here. But I mean, just imagine, you know, none of this stuff is here, right? You just got this nice, smooth, wide, and it probably went all the way down, I would imagine. Where, I mean, just picture this on a Sunday morning. Wagons all over the place, you know, horses and buggies and people in their finest Sunday go-to-meeting clothes. Imagine that. What this spot must have looked like back then. I mean, it's a beautiful area. You know, it's very wilderness, very woodsy, as you can see. But back then it would have been a lot more, you know. It would have been a lot more woodsy than it is now. Probably wouldn't have had the dog barking either. I don't know. The dog might have been barking back then. Probably different dog, but same difference. So, but anyway, I just thought I'd run up here real quick and show this to you guys, because, you know, we're going to try. We'll try. Y'all know how it is. We can't guarantee we're going to find anything, but y'all know how it is. We like to dig. we enjoy digging. So yeah, this is something that is most certainly right up our alley. To be continued. You know, if you can find proof of something like that, folks, that would rewrite the history books now, wouldn't it? You know, this here, guys, this is Bob's place. And the McCoy cabin was right behind this. I've showed you that guy before. But I figured I'd just kind of stop here for a second. Yeah, they were Steelers fans. Paddle, that's for stirring your mash. Little sled and various tools. Mowing scythe. All kinds of cool little artifacts he's got. I'm gonna go in and check it out. I'll just be careful where I point my camera. Well, we've got to video what he's got here. I mean, he's probably got some really cool stuff.
Oh, there's a photo of old Nancy.
When the diggers came out and did metal detecting here on the property. Old mantle from somebody's place, no doubt.
Well, this might be a flattering picture, you know. What is this thing on
Your left, you see how it shoot out? That's part of the old fireplace.
coins from the house, from the cabin. Would you get me a picture, video of the gun?
Do I hold it that way?
Yeah.
This gun?
You see that gun case over there?
Yeah. Well, gotcha.
After the miniseries in National Geographic, the Henry Rifle Company reached out to me and wanted some ideas. They wanted
Thank
to
you.
build a Hatfield McCoy gun. And you'll notice
Oh,
one side of it's Hatfield,
oh my. That is
one
beautiful.
side's McCoy. You
I see
the,
gold.
See the
I
prints?
can see the rest. That is beautiful.
Get up here and see. I know you'll want to see it. It's good one right here.
Welcome to hold it back.
Oh my god. This is beautiful.
Brady would love this. Can I take a picture of this? As long as he's okay with it, yeah.
Have you seen the ones that Jack has?
I'll flip it
That's
the
the
other
same.
side for her so she
Yeah.
can get both sides.
I've got one they done for me to sell in gold.
Really?
Nice.
Now, I'd heard the one existed. You have it?
I've got number 2.
Really?
So, how many are there?
There was only less than 300 made.
Oh, wow.
Oh, well, I didn't know there was that many. I didn't even know there was that many. I thought there was
They
like...
actually
Hey,
came
Jay,
out
look
with
at
a
me with it.
rifle.
I'll get you.
That is one of the prettiest guns I've ever
Look here, guys.
Don't forget that picture, please.
You know what you're looking at?
That is some of the prettiest.
This is Randall McCoy's fire poker.
Those are such beautiful carvings.
It came out from where the house was.
Oh my god.
And out of the 300, they're all
On
identical.
excavations. This is Randall McCoy's fire poker.
Who got number 1?
Oh my God.
And the guns you were just shown were some of the bullets that came up out of the ground
Have you
from
shot
the
it, or-
diggers
Okay.
when they came and did metal detecting here.
That is wonderful.
That is a heavy.
Okay, I'm kind of hanging back. Let the kids go ahead of me a little bit. You see that stone behind the wagon wheel? This stone, and this stone. Remember back at the cabin, I just showed you how the corners, how they did hold up the old cabins? Those are the 4 cornerstones of Randall McCoy's cabin. Imagine that.
I asked if he'd ever done one life size with a human being. He said no. I said, you want a challenge? That was done with a chainsaw.
Oh my
700
goodness.
700 pounds of Randall.
Wow.
Is it 700 pounds?
Yep.
Wow.
She asked a question, why here? We didn't want the display of guns. We wanted to get away from violence.
The violence.
So there is a gun in there.
There's the hint. Just the insinuation, right? If you'd like your picture with Ranel, you can jump in there and I'll get you at the well as well.
Now, a lot of people ask, what's that water used for?
For drinking.
Well, they used it for drinking.
Bathing.
They used it for bathing, washing clothes. I contacted Coca-Cola Company
You get tired of me.
probably 5-6 years ago, asking if we could use the water from the well, have it purified, and create a drink called hogwash for kids in different flavors. Wow. They knew no more about the Hatfield McCoy feud than I would do the recipe for Coca-Cola. So then I had a company by the name of Polly Holler contact me. And we used the water from the well, and it's producing moonshine.
That.
Behind it.
That's that right there.
Premium moonshine.
We like to take a swig of it.
Want a nice big paper cut?
It's amazing how that stuff evaporates, you know?
But was it something Coca-Cola made from it?
No, Polly Holler Distillery. Thinking they're not low enough down. They exhausted their milk, water, whatever they had in the house. So she took off to the well for water. She was shot and killed. Sally ran outside to her daughter. She was beaten and left for dead here at the well in the snow. His son, Ranel Jr., was shot and killed running in this direction. Alifair is actually buried over on this side of the hill over here. You see that power pole over there?
Yeah.
To the right of that, there's a huge monument. The McCoy boys, who used to be in the coal business back in the 70s, wanted to do something for the McCoy family. Alifair, the 3 boys who were shot at the pawpaw tree, are all buried over there. The people that own the property will not allow you to go up there. It's kind of a...
If proof.
Yeah, well, you can if you show proof on the wall then that you're a McCoy, they'll let you go. That's the only way that they let anybody go up. So no, a lot happened here on, like I said, January 1st, 1888. I think all the time, especially on New Year's Eve. Man, what really happened here, you know?
Yeah.
That was, like you said on the video, innocent killing of women and children. Actually, my father and my uncle and 2 other people had a Ford dealership in Williamson and Maplewood back in the 60s and 70s. It was called Hatfield McCoy Feud. I can remember as a young man washing cars. People would come in, the guy would say, "Hey kid, which one's a Hatfield, which one's a McCoy?" He still had that little bit of a rub.
You didn't tell, did you?
Huh?
You didn't tell.
What amazes me are our local people, schools as well as residents, don't realize what's in your backyard, your history.
Yeah.
This is our history, this is our heritage. A lot of people ask me, well, what do you get out of this? You're making all kinds of money with it. You're on TV shows, da. I said, no. I said, really, the only thing I want out of it is to see a young man or a young woman, someday, somewhere, they ask you where you're from, with a broad smile and a firm handshake, tell them exactly where you're from, Eastern Kentucky. So thank you guys for coming. I hope you enjoyed it. And come back and bring somebody.
Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
More than welcome.
Somebody had pointed out a grave over here.
Yes, those are our past dogs. Yes.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, that was Randall's dog and that was Sarah's dog. Just kidding.
Well, we need some restroom facilities.
So I found it. As you go down,
That is really cool, guys.
first, okay, on your right.
I said it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 7 kids and two teachers.
And they have restroom
There's
facilities.
restrooms.
And there they go. Headed off for Pikeville, Kentucky to continue their education on the history of the Hatfield McCoy feud. I just want to take a second. I think that is really cool. I applaud this school for taking the time to do this, to get the teacher, to get, somebody to do the driving, to somebody to do this, do that, the other. I very much applaud this school for bringing these kids down. And this was a really cool thing. The kids were asking questions and all kinds of stuff. And our next generation, guys, actually learning this stuff, and they're going to pass it on to their kids, right? And I got to see a few new artifacts. I'm going to have to get up with Bob. He's got some more stuff back out in that little building of his. And I'm going to have to get up with him and, when we've got more time, just the 2 of us, to kind of talk and, all that kind of stuff. Today was the first time we had met. I knew Tony, but today was the first time. I knew who Bob was, but this is the first time that I actually got to meet the man. So, really cool dude, and he knows his stuff too. But I always thought, what I thought was interesting, like I said, was the night that the cabin was attacked and burned by the Hatfields. Randall, he went to the neighbor's house, and it was Scott's. It was this guy's family. It was Bob's family is where Randall went to go, to get away from the massacre and all this kind of stuff. And so I thought that was really cool. And, that he owns the place now, and he's a direct descendant of Hatfields, but he's also related to McCoys. So yeah, that's cool too. The truck go by. But anyway, guys, we appreciate y'all coming along. Hope you enjoyed the cabin and the old well site. And I hope you enjoyed the fact that these kids are being brought out here to see these old places and hear these old stories and meet people like Bob who actually know things. You know, they know what they're talking about. They know what they're talking about. And, you know, so to bring these kids out to meet somebody like him and hear the story directly from his lips, and him telling about how the diggers came down and how this happened and that happened and so on and so forth. And it's really cool. It's really cool. It really is to see the next generation learning this stuff. You know, like Bob said, I know a lot of locals who drive by this stuff on a daily basis and don't really know the history of the places that they're driving right by. And so, you know, that's a good thing, you know, about the videos. You can point these things out, you know, legends and locations, right? That's the whole point. You can actually go to the place, tell people what happened, show them the location, you know, and not sitting at home doing, you know, a video on your computer. I'm sure we could do that really easily, but it's not the same, is it? So, without further ado, this is Leo with the Hillbilly Files, and you guys have a really good day. God bless, and we will see you guys next time. Leo out.